All right, shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to everybody tuning in. All praises to the Most High in Christ. We're back again live. All right, just boy, coming from some crazy sights and sounds. Okay, we was live today at the Black Lives Matter concert. That's what I call it. It's not a march. And so many things was going on. So many things was happening. It's not even funny. Brothers are still out there. All praises to the Most High. So send up your prayers for them, all right? For all the brothers, all you watchmen, man, that are out there dealing in spirit and in truth. All praises to the Most High in Christ. Today's topic, of course, is believing lies, and how fittingly. Believing lies and living by it. And let's say this. Let me say this real quick. The number one lie that our people is living by, of course, is Christianity. And what it does is it causes your mind to detach from reality. And here's why I say that, folks. You want to destroy everything that's happening right now with people marching and everything. We was out there. This is the questions that was posed to them. Number one, you want to tear down the monuments of those people, those Edomites, the white folks that's on the monuments, on some of them on horses, some of them holding swords, and we know they had slaves and everything. Fine, you want to tear that down. Well, why wouldn't you want to stop and tear down the ideologies of Christianity? Because they founded it. They the ones who pushed it upon the people here. So you want to tear down the monuments, but you don't want to tear down the Christianity that they brought? It makes no sense. So people was out there singing Christian songs, Christianity songs, but wanting to destroy the monument. This doesn't make any sense. So y'all bear with us today, all right? Let's open up with the book of Jeremiah chapter 10. Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 6. Not too long today, all right? It's hot out there, boy. It was hot out there. But all praises to the Most High.
All praises, all praises.
Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 6.
All right. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to all. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 6.
Come on.
For as much as there are none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is great in might.
So there's none like the Most High, period. So when you start to examine Christianity, Christianity has infused their man's doctrines inside of them, all right? And what it's done is put our people in the spirit of deep sleep. It also puts ignorance on folks, because you out there doing things and still living in a reckless mentality, but yet saying Black Lives Matter. You still selling drugs, but Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
See how the mind is confused. All right, so read on.
Verse 7. Who would not fear thee, O King of nations?
It doesn't take anything but understanding that the Most High is in control of all things. And these nations and everyone else that's subject into breathing and non-breathing all have to humble to the Most High, period. All right? The King of Nations is now sitting on the right side of the Most High. So everyone has to humble to Christ, period. That's what people don't realize. But the way to humble to Christ is to follow the commandments, not to follow the ideologies of man. All right, you can't tell you how many ideologies was out there today. Read on.
Who would not fear thee, O King of nations?
Come on.
For to thee doeth it or pertaineth. For as much as among all the wise men of the nations.
Come on.
And in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee.
None. Read on.
Verse 8. But they are altogether brutish.
So you put the nations together, and Israel is inside the nations. When I say Israel, I'm talking about you so-called blacks, you so-called Hispanics whose fathers of Negroid and Indian descent, the children of the slaves, the children who now the world is looking at saying, you've been treated unfairly. They want to wipe that out. You are the biblical Israelites, God's chosen people, and you have no idea about it. Make sure y'all tag all the people that's in Christianity that you know on this video. We got some questions for them. Tag everybody you know, anybody you know that's in Christianity. And when I say in Christianity, they might not believe the Bible. They might be in Islam. Tag all your people, Baptist, Pentecostal. I don't care if you're into Calvinism. That complete debacle. You're a Methodist. I'm going to hit you today. Baptist, you're going to get hit today. Non-denominational, that's the other one. You know, that's somebody being slick. You know, that's really called universalism.
Yep.
Straight up.
I tried that. I'm non-denominational.
You know, I don't subscribe to a denomination.
It was foolish.
What does that mean? You're still in Christianity.
Exactly.
Jehovah Witnesses.
Christianity.
Yep.
Seventh-day Adventists.
I was finna say something. Jehovah Witnesses, you are the worst out of all the sects. Jehovah Witnesses is the worst. Because what they're doing is you have a form. You know when they go out to do their little witnessing, even though the witnesses are the Israelites, they be wearing their dresses and they go out and stuff. But you are pushing comic books. You're pushing devilish comic books, evil material, evil. And your Bible is missing a lot of verses. It's like that on all sides of that little puzzle. But if you was in Jehovah Witnesses, you have a form of trying to come back to God, but you're missing the mark because what's happening is you reading all the stuff. Oh, I'm not going to read this. This is not, I'm not taking this literally. It's symbolic. Okay, but you're sitting in captivity and you're in your little kingdom hall, you're following madness. Trust me, we sat inside of there multiple times and tried to get it in, and ain't nobody want to talk to us. You folks in Christianity and any sect, come and talk to us. I bet you can't stand for 2 minutes. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 8. But they are altogether brutish.
You are altogether brutish. Why? Because when we start to go over God's words, you hate God so much that you want to cut us off, you want to stop it, and you want to interject your own madness, your own Christian or Christianity ideology. Well, those days are over with. Don't you see folks marching, tearing down all these statues and all this stuff? Christianity is being torn down too. I had a conversation with a white guy, so-called white man out there, and what he told me was this. I said, sir, wouldn't it make sense to come out of all of it, not just the statue, come out the doctrines that they taught too? He said, I'm not going to rebuttal that. It makes 100% sense. Meanwhile, you got one of our people standing behind them, shaking their head. No, it doesn't make sense. Come out of the ideology. Then I turned to the Edomite. This is the difference between your peon mind and how someone in rulership thinks. Their mentality, totally different spirit. I said, sir, what do you think the solution is? He said, we need to pick up the sword. Their mind, spiritual antennas went up. Ding. Well, Esau, he lived by the sword. Let me ask him what he mean by that.
Right.
Excuse me, sir. What do you mean? He said, we gotta pick up the sword. I said, do what? He said, kill our parents. I said, excuse me? I rebuked him. Like, no. Because you ain't gonna go and write your little letter and then leave it for the news media. You know, I was talking to O and the Black Lives Matter, and it was Israelites, and it made sense for me. He told me that I was live by the sword and to kill my parents. And so I do it, and I'm going to kill myself too to eliminate the problem. Then here come all the feds and got me on the news and John hammed up. I ain't do nothing. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting.
Like Shalom Brothers.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Kwam Yashala. Nope, I rebuked him.
Yep.
I said, listen. I rebuked him quickly. I said, sir, in any form of your crazy comic book mind, why would you do such a thing? No, we don't teach that. We're showing you reality. Reality is a person that looks like me was on the ground. Everybody else is standing up for him. We should be standing up.
That's right.
First. Not everyone. Everyone can do their parts in saying this is wrong. I agree. But when it comes down to the ultimate voice, it should be the black men standing there talking intelligently to our people on how to get out of this. You know what the white guy said? I'm 100% deal correct. So when the black guy steps up and the other people, I say, excuse me, we have to deal with our people. I told him, I said, you're white. Don't talk to him. Let me talk to him. He's of our nation. So we start talking to him. And he said, I agree with everything you're saying. Now, how is it that he agrees, but the black guy standing there, he didn't. He was in fully, I'm not going to leave my Christianity values.
Damn.
That's what he said.
It's worse than crack, bro.
Meanwhile, a young sister walks up. She has a James 2:17 on a cardboard. So I stop her. I said, Minister Parak stopped her. She came over. I said, what does that mean? She said, I don't know. I'm just holding it for her. You should have. I had shades on, so I pulled my shades off and I looked at the Edomite. I said, he's probably smart. Let me look and see what he's thinking. I looked at him. He did me. This was his exact words. He had on a mask. He had a VCU face covering on.
Yeah.
He pulled his junk down. He was like, that's Christianity. Yo! I was like, you must have had some schooling or something. I don't understand. And the girl walked back to their friend to say, hey, they want to know what this means. And they looked at us like, you dumb. We ain't talking to y'all. They walked up the block. I said, there you go. It's madness, Christianity. At its finest. Yeah. What she had on is she was dressed in she had on just a bra. She just had on a bra like with Spider-Man webs on it.
What?
Yeah, that's what she had on. In tight pants.
You had a rally to bring awareness to inequality for police brutality, and you dressed like you want to entice somebody. If that's all I'm going to say.
Read Jeremiah 10:8 again.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 8. But they are altogether brutish.
And what?
And foolish.
And foolish, because you don't want to listen to the words of the Bible, to what God says. You want to lean to your own understanding, and you want to do whatever you want to do. If you live by that creed, you have no rights to complain. Read on.
The stock is a doctrine of vanity.
This Christianity, the stock, the overall understanding of what the nations brung to the Bible is vanities. I asked him another question. He was free falling at that point because he saw it. I said, let me ask you this. This place is known as confusion. There's a lot of confusion happening. And the word confusion from the Bible is Babylon. When you go back to the beginning, they tried to build a tower to Babel. I said, what was that about? The Edomite turned to me and said, well, they were trying to build into the heavens. They was building a structure up to God. I said, sir, do you believe in comic books? You read comic books? I said, we got technology today. Can they build up into space right now from the ground? He started laughing. He said, oh, no. I said, yeah, exactly. So what was the ultimate problem in there? I stepped back and see if he was going to pick it up because the Jake's standing there looking.
No.
Our people standing there looking, listening to him. So we're using him to edify. Let's see what he's going to say. The so-called white man stood there and said, oh, the problem was unity.
There you go. There you go.
I turned to the black guy and said, how is he picking up on this and you can't? What is in his mind? And the white guy pulled his mask down again and said, everyone is indoctrinated. Whoop, put his mask back on. I said, the Most High keep popping him on the head,
right,
shining the light to show him. I said, turn around. I said, both of y'all turn around. Look at this area. I said, what do you see? They were struggling. I said, this is Demolition Man. You live in a scene out of a movie. Everybody in disarray. Judge Dredd. People was detached. But it's because of the doctrine that's being pushed. Christianity is a doctrine of politics. It's a political doctrine. It started that way in 319, Edicum Milan, in 325, First Nicene Council, Christianity. Okay, and that's the reason why you folks that have been tagged on this video, you've been tagged because you're in Christianity, and that means you are part of the problem, and that means that you need to come out of it quick. The way that you can come out is to come back to following Christ for real, as it is written. That's the only way you can come out of it. If not, you're going to lean to your own understanding. You might be next that the police is behind, or you might be next that the Lord say, remove the hedge of protection, and then you're doomed. All right? Read it again.
Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 8. But they are altogether brutish and foolish, and the stock is a doctrine of vanity.
Let's go to Romans, the doctrine of vanities. Now, this is where this is the reason. Stay with me for a second. They tagged you. If you're watching it, stay with me for a second. I want to prove one thing. If you can discredit this point, we will shut the program off. You can put it in the comment boards. If you can discredit this, we will shut the program down. We will just shut down right now if you folks can discredit this. All right. Let's go to Romans. Just give me a second. I'm going to give you some a few scriptures, and I want to see if you're going to be able to discredit it. Romans chapter 3. And start at verse 9.
The book of Romans, chapter 3 and verse 9. What then? Are we better than they?
Come on.
No, and no wise.
Come on.
For we have before proved both Jews and Gentiles.
Come on.
That they are all under sin.
So Jews and Gentiles, the ones that know the truth, the Israelites that knew the truth, even at the time of Christ, the ones that were scattered outside of that didn't really have no understanding. All was concluded under sin. All concluded under sin. Read on.
Verse 10. As it is written.
Come on.
There is none righteous.
So none of us is righteous. Come on.
No, not one.
No, not one. No, not one. So we are all concluded that we are all under sin. 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy. I'm about to be done. I'm gonna see if y'all can prove the point wrong. 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 9.
1 Timothy.
We are all under sin, right? The Bible we're in agreements. The Bible says we are all under sin. There's nobody good. We all have sin in us.
Right.
Okay, come on.
1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 9.
Come on.
Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man.
So what's the context? The law is not made for a righteous man. So who is the law made for? Come on.
But for the lawless.
Oh, for the lawless.
Uh-oh.
Come on.
And disobedient.
Come on.
For the ungodly.
Come on.
And for sinners.
Oh, so we all under sin, so the law was made for. So that obviously show you that you got to be keeping laws. It said we all under sin. The law was made so that we can keep it. If you can discredit that, because you're saying Paul is the liar. You're saying the Bible, you don't believe it. Paul just said, as it is written, we are all concluded under sin. We are all sinners.
Right.
The law is for who?
It says,
let's read it right back again.
1 Timothy chapter 1 verse 9. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient.
Come on.
For the ungodly and for sinners.
So we all sinners. So the law was made for us. Means you have to keep it.
Yep.
Come on.
For unholy.
Uh-huh.
and profane.
Come on.
For murderers of fathers.
And if you hate your brother and you consider a murderer, according to this book, come on.
And murderers of mothers.
Come on.
For manslayers. For whoremongers. For them that defile themselves with mankind. For men stealers. For liars. For perjured persons. And if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine.
So highlight sound doctrine. So the law was made to put people in order that's not in order. You're committing adultery, you can't do that. You are in the midst of fornication. You're in the midst of trying to steal. You're in the midst of trying to rob, or whatever the case may be. You cannot do that. Right. The law was put in place. Right. Okay. What part of that don't you understand? And why are you saying that the laws are done away with, or you don't have to keep commandments? That's Christianity in a nutshell. Thank God for Jesus, because he did away with the law. But yet you don't want somebody to break in your house. You don't want somebody to steal your car. You don't want somebody to kill anybody you know.
It blows my mind, because look at this society. As wicked as this society is, they have laws in order to basically govern the people. So how could you sit there and say, how you going to govern your life? That's the sad part about our people. We just go along with the flow, don't use any type of common sense, understanding ethics. You don't have any code of ethics. How you supposed to live?
That's why that's why we conduct ourselves as savage in all these communities, and wonder why we killing more people than the police or anybody else can ever do. We're at a rapid rate. If it was one statistic that showed, if we continue to kill each other like we're killing, you're going to be above killing your people, above what the slave trade did.
Exactly. Because think about it, y'all, and I have to say this. When you tell a lawless people that they don't have to keep laws, our people are already wicked already, because we don't know who we are. That's square across the board. We're already wicked anyway. And you tell our people they go to the churches, you go to the churches and sing and dance and play the tambourine, all that nonsense. And you tell them, don't keep commandments. And they're already wicked. And you tell them they're still going to get the kingdom. Jesus still loves you. Do you know how crazy that right there is? That's wicked as hell. That's what Christianity produces.
How we looking on the feed? Did they clip us? All right.
Okay.
Matter of fact, let me show you this before we're going to go to 2 Peter. But before we go to 2 Peter, I want to show y'all the video. It's from the old movie Roots, and it's when they was transporting the slaves. Listen to how even the movie Roots was put together so that it can be super accurate. I mean, all the way down to the Arabs taking us and bringing us into slavery. Yep. So somebody's calling, and somebody's angry. We're not answering. But the movie was put together accurate. Alex Haley, what's his name? The Haley family.
It was Alex Haley. He did a 12-year research to research his family back into Africa. So this movie was premiered in 1977. It was a TV series.
Right.
Okay.
Now watch this, y'all. Watch this. Pay attention. Listen to the words. For you folks that are in Christianity, you're going to hear something in this. Yep. Let's go.
Fellas, man. You see, women take up less space than the bucks. What you have to estimate in the planning of it all is how many women as well as how many men. There's a certain mix that's the most efficient and profitable, you see, sir.
How many, Mr. Slater?
Now, 170 more or less, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Tell me, Mr. Slater, how many voyages like this one have you made?
Oh, my, sir, that's a poser now. I'd say 18.
18. That's 17 more than I've made. So I'd be willing to admit, Mr. Slater, that below decks, let's say, you're the expert.
It's very kind of you, Captain.
What are they like? The blacks.
Just a different kind of breed, sir. You know, like a man would breed a dog for hunting and breed another sort of dog for his wife and children to play with. Black breed's kind of slow at thinking, but strong. They're suited to be slaves, sir. Just as you're suited to be commander of this here vessel. The natural order of things, you might say.
Yes. Yes, I could understand that, I suppose.
Myself, I think it's good for them. Us taking them like that. They're the better off for it, sir.
I'm not quite sure I understand that part, Mr. Slater.
Well, for one thing, there's Christianity, sir. We're bringing them to a Christian land.
Pause. Rewind.
I'm not quite sure I understand that part, Mr. Slater.
Well, for one thing, there's Christianity, sir. We're bringing them to a Christian land. It's got to be better for them than that heathen Allah they got with them now. That's the first thing. Second thing is, we're probably saving them from being eaten by their own kind. They do
Pause.
that.
So get him out of here. So, first of all, we're showing you this because when you were brung over here, you were indoctrinated with Christianity. That was not your religion. That was not what we were following. And they'll propagate more lies and say that we were eating ourselves and everything else. But what that happened to our people, but because we were barricaded in. That's what they used that tactic. You can read about that in the Bible. Yep. They used the tactics to quarantine us and to starve us to death. That was the tactics used. So they were showing you that on there, all the way back then. Yep. All right. So you have a book. I actually saw it. It's in Jamestown right now. When we went, I documented it. I saw it. I had it, and they was like, you can't touch this or nothing. They put a glass up on it because when we first got down there, we saw it. It said indoctrinating the Negroes with Christianity. It was a guide on how to indoctrinate the Negroes and the natives into Christianity, how to baptize them into Christianity.
We was trying our best to get our hands on that thing. We said we might get locked up, man.
I took pictures of it. I documented it and everything. Now they got it behind a glass, a thick glass where you can't even touch it.
We wanted to get our hands on it so bad. I said, man, just let me just touch this thing.
So, but the thing is, you see that we wasn't in Christianity.
Right.
As a people, we did not follow Christianity. So why do we so wholeheartedly believe in it today? Why do you believe that? Let me make the statement. Following Christ is different from being in Christianity, 100%. You are not following Christ if you are consider yourself in Christianity. You're following a man-made doctrine. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 18. So you got to come out of, you folks got to come out of it. I'm going to show you some, especially you women. Because what was happening at the Black Lives Matter, all you seen was women emotional, standing up there speaking over and over again. Then they put a white pastor up in there, talking about how God and Richmond is all in one. What is he talking about?
And we got something else to show you about the women too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And the product of Christianity that some of y'all don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
2 Peter chapter 2, verse 18. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity.
This is you have people even that supposedly knew the truth and they went back into Christianity because the Lord gave them their opportunity, and because they were evil, he stripped their minds.
Yep.
And they went back he gave them back over to a doctrine that is not profitable.
Yep.
All right. So a lot of us has been in Christianity. It has nothing to do with principles and values just in Christianity. It's the actual doctrine of telling you not to keep God's laws. Like, for instance, in Christianity, you will celebrate some sects Christmas. Some sects will celebrate Christ being white, which is all of them.
Yep.
Some sects will go, oh, you know what? We're going to celebrate, New Year's, Easter. So what you have happening, and this is the crazy thing, you have people waking up. They know that they're Israel now, but somehow they stay in Christianity. Why? Why are they staying in Christianity? God has gave their minds over to lewdness, to perversions, to perverseness. All right? So you folks that are just coming out of it, you're going, wait a minute, why is he saying that about, my pastor? He loves God, and my church family, we're in, we do what's best and what's right. But then you start realizing your church family is not following God's laws. First of all, the basic principles of it. God is not telling everybody to come together in unity. He's not saying that. And that's where your problem is at. The Israelites supposed to build upon their faith and build their nation back up in the spirit and unity of Christ. Read on.
2 Peter chapter 2, verse 18. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh.
And a lot of times you have brothers who went, the Most High strip them because they was stealing. They was doing all kind of different deeds, having hatred, spewing lies, talking evil. See, when you do that, the Lord can strip your understanding from you.
Yep.
You'll go right back up in the trash doctrines. You'll be worse. You're worse off. Read on.
Through much wantonness.
Come on.
Through those that were clean escaped from them who live in error.
They live in error because instead of saying, you know what, we're going to do Passover. Nah, they're going to do Easter. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to do what Christ did, which was prefer the Israelites. Like he said, I'm only sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Yep. They don't think like that. They go, it's going to be everybody. All right. So, but they was once clean escape, but now they living back to error. Come on.
Verse 19. While they promised them liberty.
Yeah, you're going to be free. See, and that's what you get. How I left the Hebrew Israelites. That wasn't ever in it. First of all, because if you can say black Hebrew Israelites, you never understood what you was in.
Right.
It ain't no such thing as black Hebrew Israelites. So when you see somebody do that, you got to realize that they have never been in it. You don't see no trails of their works. None. It's vanished. No, non-existent. Come on.
They themselves are the servants of corruption.
You'll see the same people in the midst of adultery, in the midst of stealing, all kind of stuff. They themselves are in the midst of serving corruption. Oh, and all of a sudden it don't matter no more how Christ looked. Remember, the Bible said if you have to say that Christ came in the flesh.
That's right.
All of a sudden it don't matter about that anymore. Come on.
For of whom a man is overcome.
Come on.
Of the same is he brought in bondage.
So you go back into the bondage of the world, not understanding at one point you was alive and free. Now you're back into bondage. Read on.
Verse 20. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world.
So once you could have escaped it, you understood, dang, I got to keep commandments and the faith of Christ to the best of my abilities. It's about escaping willful sin. I have to escape willful sin. After you understand that, come on.
Through the knowledge.
Do what?
Through the knowledge.
How do you escape?
Through the knowledge.
Through the knowledge. Come on.
Of the Lord.
Come on.
And Savior Jesus Christ.
So you have to have knowledge of what his principles are, what he taught. Christ did not just teach you love. He taught you what the commandments meant at the highest level. It's not just, love and disregard doing Passover. Love and disregard wearing fringes. Love and disregard your beard. That don't make any sense. The Lord even told you his doctrine is not his own. but his that sent me.
Mm-hmm.
When you read John 7.
Yep.
So if his doctrine matches the Father, the Most High, then ain't nothing changed. Just the knowledge of how to keep them. Read.
They are again entangled therein and overcome.
They're entangled therein and overcome. Come on.
The latter end is worse with them than the beginning.
Even when you was just walking in the world, you might have came into the truth. You leave this and go to Christianity, the latter part of you is going to be worse than you ever was in the world.
Yep.
And you see it happening. You have no moral standards. You have no codes. Brothers become whoremongers.
Yep.
Sisters become all about money or forget about, I'm going to forget about trying to raise my sisters up. Forget about all that. It's about me.
That's right.
Might fall off into crystals and all kind of stuff. Read on.
Verse 21. For it had been better.
For it what?
For it had been better.
Come on.
For them not to have known the way of righteousness.
It's better for them to not to know the way. We know the way is Christ in the keeping of the commandments. The Bible is saying it's better for them to have not even known that way. Read.
Than after they have known it.
Come on.
To turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them.
You hear that? It's better for you not to even know the way than to understand I got to keep commandments in Christ.
That's right.
Verse
20.
Verse 22.
Verse 22. But it is happening to them according to the true proverb.
To the true proverb. Come on.
The dog.
The what?
The dog.
Come on.
Is turned to his own vomit again.
Come on.
And the sow that was washed in her wallowing in the mire.
Just like a dirty pig. Just like a dog returning to his vomit. What does that mean? Go to Proverbs 23. Matter of fact, start verse 6. That's the precept. Yep, go to the precept. Proverbs 23 and verse 6.
And why is he hitting a precept right here if precepts don't matter?
That's another thing with what a lot of unlearned people do. They go into, like, instead of going directly back into Christianity, they fall off into sects of doctrines. Like, matter of fact, pull it up. Watch this. Calvinism. Let's go there. They think that's new. They really think that's new. If you know anybody in Calvinism, let's pull up what it is so folks can see. I battled Calvinism people and just set them down in the corner real quick. Just set them down real quick in the corner. Play it.
Calvinism.
Somebody read that because I ain't going to be able to see it. Yeah. Calvinism.
Check.
Yeah.
Calvinism. The Protestant theological system of John Calvin.
Of who?
Of John Calvin.
Man's philosophy. Come on.
And his successors, which develops Luther's doctrine of justification by faith alone and emphasizes the grace of God and the doctrine of predestination.
So that don't make no difference. You still in Christianity. Right. You only saying you are saved by just faith alone. But we know that faith without works is dead. So obviously, that James, but obviously that show you something. So somebody who believe, you know what, I'm not gonna go directly back into Christianity, but I'm gonna go into Calvinism. You're stupid. Right. You're actually the Lord is actually saying to you that you're stupid. All right. A foolish person, because now you're just saying only thing you have to do is have faith, but faith is mixed with works. Let's go to another sect. Methodist. Let's go down on a list on them real quick. See what this is. This is all your little sects that a lot of people in. We ain't even talking about apostolic and Pentecostal. Leave them. Oh boy. They'll start getting on apostolic and Pentecostal people. Lay them out right on the floor and put a sheet over their heads. They practicing death.
Methodists. a member of a Christian Protestant denomination originating in the 18th century evangelistic movement of Charles and John Wesley and George Whitefield.
Other men. Let's go to something else. Yeah, play it. Go ahead.
Methodist,
Methodist.
Methodist. Come on. Give me something else. Yeah, go to the next one. Lutheran. Let's play it.
Lutheran.
Okay.
Lutheran, a follower of Martin Luther.
So you're a follower of man philosophy. You see how we keep showing this? Give me another one. It can't be a coincidence, can it? Oh, let's go.
Baptist.
Baptist.
That's one of the most famous ones.
A member of a Protestant Christian denomination advocating baptism only of adult believers by total immersion.
So they're following a Protestant doctrine. Let's go to Protestant. Play it.
Protestant.
Okay.
It's got to scoot over.
Scoot it over, son. We can't see.
Protestant, a member or follower of any of the Western Christian churches that are separate from the Roman Catholic Church and follow the principles of the Reformation, including the Baptist, Presbyterian, and Lutheran churches.
So highlight the word Reformation, and let's go into Google. Copy that. Let's go into Google and what is the Christian? Yeah, I want to know what happened in this Reformation. Look at number 2. What does it say?
Reformation, a 16th century movement for the reform of abuses in the Roman Catholic Church, ending in the establishment of the Reformed and Protestant churches.
Who led it? Let's look at it. Who led it?
The father's Martin Luther.
Let's go get. So they're following man. They're following man. Yeah, you following the so-called white man, which, by the way, you still saying you want to tear down his statues. Right. But yet you're following these people who have religious ideologies. And the people who are doing this, you got to be honest, and you have to, folks, we have to be honest with you. I mean, there's nothing else left. The people who are doing this, they have Stockholm Syndrome, and they're detached from reality. They live in a hunky-dory world. They live in a comic book world that they look at things in a weird way. Their brain cells are not working correctly, and they're looking at things outside of the Bible. All that stuff we showed you is man's doctrines. Proverbs 23, verse 6.
Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 6. Eat thou not the bread of him that have an evil eye.
Now, why would I start there? Because when you go back into these vomit doctrines, if you're in this doctrine, we can't trust you. You're subject to put pork in our foods. You're subject to willfully try to break what God says. You know God don't like certain things because you're in these doctrines. But they tell you to forget about it. And then you're subject to do anything. But more importantly, it's because you're evil and you don't even know it. You think that you're good, but actually, in all actuality, you're against Christ. You're against the Most High. Come on.
Eat thou not the bread of him that have an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainty meats.
Neither desire his dainty meats. Come on.
For as he thinketh in his heart,
Or as he thinking in his heart. Come on.
so is he.
You think like the so-called white man? You can eat anything. You can, long as you love everybody and pray and do this stuff. You think that way. Come on.
Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee.
They show you even on the level of how when you start to build relationships and you start seeing how our people hate each other and we have lack of trust and all kind of stuff. The reason why is because of envy and hatred. You hate your own people, and the reason why you hate your own people is because you follow white man Jesus.
Yep.
Simple as that. Knowing good and well, everybody we walk up to and tell them, hey, well, what color is Christ? They go, oh, especially any of our people. Oh, he got to be black. No, but what color is he portrayed as? White. Or what color is he in your church? White. What color is he in the book that you're reading? White. Do you not see that the way that brainwashing works? Are you that ignorant? Is the shackles still on your mind? Because if you go in a store and you shop and they play music, they can play Jingle Bells. You'll start eventually humming Jingle Bells. You don't understand brainwashing.
Yep.
You don't understand when commercials come on, the volume of your TV go up.
Goes
Not
up.
you ain't even controlling it. You don't understand. You driving in a car, a burger's a billboard is up there. Come eat me, I'm yummy. You understand? You driving down the road. You understand? Half naked lady on the billboard. Come take me. If I wear this, you love me.
Yeah.
Other ladies want to wear it. All other ladies look at it. Oh, I want Victoria's Secrets.
They have the nerve to put up Adam and Eve store with lingerie.
I mean,
It's amazing.
with a lady's tongue sticking off of the page.
Yep.
The billboard. Yeah, I mean, all the stuff is there, but it's you battling lust, you in the wrong place. You're in the wrong doctrine. Christianity will just allow you to run away with lust. You just do whatever stay in your lust, say a couple thank you Jesuses, I'm gone. It doesn't have the substance to hold you, period. And we will challenge, if any one of you folks would like to place a call or come in or challenge that statement, we would love to hear from you. See, we're not running from anyone. We went out to Black Lives Matters. None of those folks in that God-forsaken area can comprehend what we were saying. But they couldn't stand against it. Read.
Verse 8. The morsel which thou hast eaten shalt thou vomit up,
The morsel that you eat, you're going to vomit up. Come on.
and lose thy sweet words.
And lose your sweet words. That's eventually is going to happen. Come on.
Verse 9. Speak not in the ears of a fool, for he would despise the wisdom of thy words.
So if you're in Christianity and somebody comes up to you and they giving you wisdom, they saying, hey, the Bible is this and that, and you start to despise immediately, the Bible calls you a fool. They're telling you to keep commandments. When did the devil ever tell you to keep God's commandments?
Exactly.
All right. Stay in Proverbs 26 and verse 11.
Yeah, the devil says, keep the commandments and live.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. 26.
Yep. And verse 11. Because remember, it said that like a dog returning to his own vomit.
Okay. Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 11.
Uh-huh.
As a dog returneth to his vomit,
As a dog returneth to his vomit. Come on.
so a fool returneth to his folly.
So shame on anybody who was once in the truth and you return back to a foolish and a childlike doctrine. Christianity, comic book, childlike doctrine, detached from reality. Don't understand. I asked that when I said that, I asked the so-called white man. He even understood what was the problem with the Tower of Babel. Unity. They thought that they can come together, and because you came together, you think you can usurp what God says? You think because you believe in Christianity, it's going to wipe out God's laws? You're finished. Read it again.
Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 11. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly.
So you return it. The Bible's calling you a fool. Jump backwards. 25. Verse 14.
Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 14.
Uh-huh.
Whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain.
So you say that Christ is the gift, and you boast in it, but you're not living by what he says. So just like a cloud and wind without rain, that thing just done. You sit right there. What does that mean? Is like clouds and wind without rain. You're stuck. You're stuck. And that's why a lot of people in Christianity depressed, losing their minds. You saw a lot of the pastors coming into the churches with guns, killing people. One pastor was sleeping with somebody else, and he found out his wife was sleeping with somebody else. He couldn't take it. He killed her and himself. But yet, what's the judgments? Where things happening? It's not. And then you come to find out we don't have any leaders. Why don't we have any leaders? Because the leaders are stuck in Christianity. They're stuck in a doctrinal mode. And then only thing you could do is look for rappers. Yep. I mean, excuse me, the same guy, the guy who's saying that he can sleep with your wife and you know what I'm saying, he can shoot you up and everything. You want him to come out and speak to the people? Are you kidding me? And you wonder why they look upon us as non-intelligent. Yep. But when you start speaking with authority and intelligence, you will see what it does. It shuts down all of the religious ideologies. It shut down every aspect of somebody outside of this book. When you come back to this, it shut them down. They'll never want to talk to us. All these people talking about, like Black Hebrew Israelite podcasts. I'm gonna show you how to escape. I'm gonna escape it. They'll never talk to us. They'll never. I'll challenge any person breathing on this godforsaken earth to come and talk to us about this book. And I promise you, you'll be destroyed because of your ideology, listening to men. That's the problem. We're following God. Period. If God said, hey, you know what? You don't supposed to hate your brother in your heart. We're not going to do that. God said, hey, you got a way to eat. We're going to do that. God said, this is what we proved it last night. If you go and do the studies and the research, you'll see. God told us before man's technology, don't mix clothing together. We know now mixing linen and wool will cause chemical reactions. That is bad for you. A lot of our people walking around with asthma and everything else because it causes chemical reactions. It's 100% proven. But you think our people listen to God? No. It's going to take the white man to come out and go, we're going to put a legislation together, and we're going to make sure that no one puts these chemicals together. Then they go, oh, don't do that. Read on. Verse 15.
Verse 15. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
By long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone.
And a soft tongue breaketh the bones. So what you're doing in Christianity, you think because you can speak, you want to speak softly and say you love everybody, your bones is broken. Come on.
Verse 16. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee.
Honey is the Bible. Eat so much that's sufficient for you. So you have to learn at a pace. And you can't be over righteous. Yep. That's what people don't realize. You come into this truth, you understand people are coming from every walks of life. People have a starting point. Everybody's not going to be where anyone's at. You're not going to be where you at because you have a starting point. I've been in the Bible pretty much my whole life since 6 years old. You're not going to just be able to come and walk up and be like, oh, you know what? Let me get him on this book right here. It's going to be impossible for you because it's certain things. God has everybody's life in a certain path. You're not going to get around it. We was talking about that last night.
Yep.
I had the way the Most High works. I had a half scholarship to coming out of high school to play for USC. At the time, in my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to play for the San Diego Aztecs.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of high school. Yes.
Yep.
They came down. Everybody came. The recruiters, everybody came down. They came to the school. God's plan, I could have played in the Shrine game. That's when you put the helmet on for your team and you go and play. Best players in the world. My year. But the Most High changed all of that around. All that stuff got changed around. I couldn't really realize it. It happened like surreally. Like, okay, we coming for him. We're going to talk. We're going to sit down. Grades, all that good. All that stuff is good. Get to the time. It's time to now, let's commit. Let's do this. They do a U-turn because my coach basically was like, you need somebody to block for it. Marshall Falk was there at the time. I'm telling my age. And he we want somebody to block for him. So my boy went to there. They picked him up to go to San Diego State, the Aztecs. He ended up following them to the Rams. They won a Super Bowl ring. Anyway, in my mind, I'm going, dang, that's crazy. But long story short, what the Most High did was he like, you ain't going there. Now you're gonna play for the real team. You're not going there. So a lot of people think
Saint.
everybody, the real saints.
You know, and it's funny because I have a similar situation. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. I had to process scholarship the same way. You know, we playing ball the same way. We was talking about that thing last night. Our paths is similar. And the year that I was supposed to go, I had a partial. I had to work at this job. And that's when I slipped and I tore my ankle up real bad. I tore it up to the point where I had to it took me years to walk again. So, I think about that, about the path, like Oz was saying, the path that we took, who's to say where we would have been? You see what I'm saying? We would have probably, we wouldn't have been in this, I tell you that.
I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. I start thinking all of my I got a lot of friends who played in the league.
Yep.
It was real good players. And but at the end of the day, we all was on the same team. We all was playing. But why does everybody life going the way it is? Everybody has their parts to play. You have your part, and if you're not playing your part, if you're trying to go against it, then all of a sudden you find yourself in opposition to the Most High, and you don't want to be there. And everybody who finds themselves in opposition to the Most High, you see the path that they're on, and then it ends up with a sad story.
Yep.
It's so many of them.
The Lord order our steps.
You better believe that.
He the one that order. You may think I'm gonna go this way, but no, he has a different plan for you. Believe that.
Read on.
Verse 15. Matter of fact, no, verse 17. I'm sorry. Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee, and so hate thee.
Come on.
A man that bear false witness against his neighbor is a maul, and a sword, and a sharp arrow.
Come on.
Verse 19. Confidence and an unfaithful man in time of trouble
Come on.
is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint.
Ain't nothing good about that.
I know that's right.
So why are we saying this? Because when you look at these doctrines, this doctrine harbors people to have less integrity. The structure of it. I don't care if you have a few people in there that's talking about I'm holding on to traditional Christianity values.
Right.
Like what?
Right.
Because inherently Satan know to treat other people demonic a certain way. How's it? What values are you talking about? So the only values that we can hold to is this book, how God said for us to live. The end. So that's why you see the world in disarray. They don't understand. Go to Luke. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 9, verse 58. So you in Christianity, they not even out there. Maybe some pastors might come and speak here or there, but when we talk about it, we're talking about being out there consistently. If you have to do it on the Sabbaths, consistently. Yep. Why are you not out there? Why you don't see them, but you see the Israelites on the corners everywhere? Is that a coincidence? Or are they following Christ? Come on. Verse 58.
Okay. The book of St. Luke, chapter 9, and verse 58.
Uh-huh.
And Jesus said unto him, foxes have holes.
Come on.
And birds of the air have nests.
Come on.
But the Son of Man have not where to lay his head.
So if we following Christ, it show you the work's got to be done. It ain't no time for resting. It ain't no time for talking about I'm trying to build America. He was building his people. While the daylight is there, Christ was there. He was working. Yep. Why aren't you working? Why aren't you not on the streets building your people up? But instead, just sitting back, saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm doing my part. I'm gonna do my part in here. No judgments going out. No rebukes. No corrections. Nothing." And a lot of the things that are happening is because of Christianity and their disarray. We're gonna show you the other clip, even with the ladies that you mentioned. Go there. Go to the clip. Watch this. This for you. This is for all you women in Christianity. This is your foremothers.
Yep.
They put a perfect example up of this. Let's go.
Aye, sir. It's time to get him above hatches and dance him, sir. Gotta have exercise, keep him in condition. Gives us a chance to muck out the hold. The stench of him, sir. A bile puking smell down there. Besides, we can cull out them what ain't worth feeding.
Yes, yes, yes.
And look over the wenches.
Very well, Mr.
Pause.
Slater, that will be all.
See, they called your foremothers wenches. All right, watch this. Come on.
Aye, aye, Captain. You won't be wanting a belly warmer then.
That will be all, Mr. Slater!
Aye, aye, Captain.
Pause. He said you don't want a belly warmer? Watch what a belly warmer is.
Come in, Mr. Slater.
Oh,
There you are, Captain.
Mr. Slater, I've told you my views on fornication.
Yes, sir, you did right enough. Just brought her as a belly warmer, sir. Little flesh to take the chill off them cold sheets. Didn't figure it'd be any problem for a high-born Christian white man like you, sir.
whoop, pause. Didn't think it would be a problem for a Christian white man like you. Now, why he says views on fornication is because you don't realize it when you start going backwards. See, because y'all into Calvinism and Baptist and Pentecostal and Catholicism and everything, you don't understand history. Because when it was looked upon to sleep with our women as a non-offense, as that's not even committing fornication. It was looked upon as if they took you as a woman. I don't care if you was 12, 9, 13, 14, whatever, 50, 40, whatever the age is.
Yep.
They can take you and with no conscience
Yep.
and sleep with you. And they showed you that. They show you that in a lot of videos. They showed you even little girls, 8 years old, in the bed with full adult white men.
I mean, hell,
And then you saying, oh, y'all shouldn't have grievances.
look at the story of Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson, the famous, they romanticized that. She was 13 years old. This man takes her, he's 45 years old, and they romanticize it. Like Pocahontas, they romanticized that. She was 12 years old. See, y'all have to understand the history. You got pedophilia, and you have a nerd talking about something. Oh, you know what? They want to hide that. That's history. It's historical facts.
But you believe in their doctrine.
Exactly.
You are indoctrinated. It never was for us, but you are indoctrinated with it. What does that show you? That show you something about you as a person. You have let down your fathers. You have let down your foremothers. Period.
Exactly.
Keep playing it.
Keep
Watch
playing
this.
it. Yeah.
I'll be by, fetch you in the morning, Captain. Sleep well.
Look at that girl, terrified. Come on. Come on now. I'll be by to fetch her in the morning, Captain. Can you imagine as a woman or as a little girl, you being in that situation? And first of all, you're already in the midst of chains and shackles. And then a man comes down and grab you. You the bad wench. You the bad wench.
This is I'm gonna hit you with two scriptures, y'all. And you see, y'all don't want to see. The problem is the Bible is right, tells a story. And you can sit there and talk all you want, but we're gonna hit you with the scripts. Okay, first one we're gonna hit is Deuteronomy 23:17 to show what the Bible says about how women supposed to be. Because the problem is, what you sisters have to understand is this man always had his way with you. Okay, he does it still today because he does it. He takes our women and uses them for pawns, for political purposes. We saw that with Candace Owens the other night. Okay, and we're gonna prove a point because that's what a lot of you sisters have to understand. These men, they use you for certain pawns because they still look at you as a bed wench. Understand that. Okay, so we go to Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 17. There should be no whore of the daughters of Israel. Because understand, that man was he was making her a whore. He called her a bed wench, right? So that's the mentality that they have even today. Because our women, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, that's exactly how they look at you. You can say what you want, and you can put a spin on it all you want, but that's exactly how they look. I'm gonna read it again. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 17. There should be no whore of the daughters of Israel. Understand? Because when you know who you are, sisters, you will have respect for yourself. And other men will respect you too, because they see you have respect for you. You understand? Then you go to, and it says, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel, which means, brothers, you can't be a homosexual. Because the term sodomite is showing you it goes both ways. The sister, she can't be a whore, and on the sodomite, you can't be a homosexual. That's what the scriptures say. Okay? Then we go back to Deuteronomy 28. Okay? Let's keep it right with the curses. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
So that means even in that same movie, when you fast forward, okay, this man was able to take Kissy anytime he wanted. She was going to get married. But what happened? Master come in, does what he wants to do, because that's still his number one bed wench. He still takes her, even though she's supposed to get married. Okay?
I think where and even in the comment boards, y'all are right. You have just let down your whole generation.
Exactly.
Because you have lined up with a doctrine. It's not what they did is not according to God's doctrine by telling you they're the people.
Yep.
And also by your iniquity having an end, ceasing you into captivity. The Lord told us it was going to happen.
Yep.
They're up way above you. But you want to follow the ideologies of your oppressors. And don't think Islam out of the way. Because you go back further enough, you see we was enslaved to the Arab man too. To the Ishmaelites.
6th century. That's when Islam was created. And Mecca was one of the biggest slave ports ever known. You go do your history, brothers, that y'all in that Islam, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and they try to paint pictures like they took white people to
Right.
slavery. That's a lie.
Right.
That's a lie. There's a if y'all can look this up too. There's a old map that was found, and it's been circulating. I remember when they found it. And above the map they had wrote Negro land on it. And it was where all our people was at. That was the map to say if you was caught in that section, they can take you as a slave. 100%. So people don't realize. And then we fought with other African tribes. They barricaded and didn't want us in their country because of the slavery. So Africans sold Israelites.
Yep.
And ceased them into captivity. And they show you that in Roots.
In Roots, because they showed the man with the turban on his head. Remember when if you know, remember the first part of the movie before Kunta Kinte got caught. What they did was they showed you a glimpse by showing you the Arab. It was the Arab and it was the slave traders, and they used the other Africans to catch Kunta Kinte.
That's what they did. It was not. It was using what they said other tribesmen, but we know Israel dwells separate.
Right.
It's even happening today. We're in the ghettos. We're in the lowest income areas. All right? The majority of us. But you can't take a few crumbs and make a cake. It's impossible. All right? You're not going to do that. Let's go back. Luke. Now we're in verse 59.
Yeah, let me get it.
Luke chapter 9 and verse 59. So you coming out of the truth or coming out of going back into Christianity, or coming out of Christianity and still looking backwards and still trying to be in the church and try to do things, that's not the way. That means you're double-minded. You don't believe in God. You don't believe in his words. Come on.
St. Luke chapter 9 verse 59. And he said unto another, Follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father.
Come on.
Jesus said unto him, Let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of God.
Go and preach the kingdom. The kingdom is for of the children of Israel. All right? That's what the kingdom is. Remember, Christ told them in Matthew 10, go preach the kingdom is at hand. Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel and tell them the kingdom is at hand. Come on.
Verse 61. And another also said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go bid them farewell.
Excuses, excuses. That's what this symbolizes. Excuses. Come out of Christianity, really follow Christ. I got Christian values, and I got a Christian family, and I'm doing this. I might play. You might play the organ in church, or you play the drums. You the drummer boy. Your mom might read the announcements. Sister Chrissy is might be the lady who she's the usher. Your uncle is the deacon.
Your aunt's the deaconess.
Your aunt's a deaconess. They sit up front.
Right.
They got their pew. They got their pew up front with their
Right.
names on it.
Right.
Your cousins and everybody, when it's time to take communion, they hold a white sheet up. While the pastor have on the white gloves and make the little, little spike juice.
Well, they got their white gloves on with the collection plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You making excuses not to really follow the Lord, really. When it's the easiest thing, it's easier than Christianity to follow the Lord.
Yep.
Come on.
Which are at home at my house.
Come on.
And Jesus said unto them,
Pay attention. Come on.
No man,
No man
having put his hand to the plow,
having put his hand to the plow, meaning you're supposed to be doing the work for your nation. Read.
and looking back,
And look back. Come on.
is fit for the kingdom of God.
You're not fit for the kingdom. That means if you see somebody that's, I understand, I see this is the truth, and they go back into Christianity, they're finished.
All day.
The Lord said they're not fit for the kingdom. Because the kingdom cometh not by observation. You got to work.
Yes, sir.
John chapter 12 and verse 25.
St. John, chapter 12 and verse 25.
Come on.
He that loveth his life shall lose it.
Come on.
And he that hated his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal.
All praises to the Most High, because that means that you realize the world has given you a false sense of your vision is impaired when you look at the world. You have to only go by the words of this book and understand. So we showed you the slavery and stuff, but you didn't understand this. Go to Zanzibar. You might, I don't know if it's sound, but you might just can mute it. This is the slave market at Christ Church in Zanzibar. Watch this. Yes, play. So you in Christianity, and while you loving Christianity, their starts show you that it was nothing but about enslaving people, controlling people in a political doctrine. Come on. That's the church. Play. You can mute it. Showing them. They just doing a little tour to show people former slave market. Go to 310. Look, former slave site. The Cathedral Church of Christ. Look at this. This is Christianity. And they got the audacity to say that they were doing it in the name of Christ. Christianity as psychotic doctrine. I might link this video for y'all to see, but all underneath and in the caverns of this looks like it's all nice on the outside, isn't it? No. Look at what they doing. Just showing y'all some things. Go back. Go to 151. It's all nice, huh? Meanwhile, play that. Matter of fact, go to 137 or 135. Got paintings of the so-called bishop out there. You know, let me indoctrinate y'all. Let's show the dirty bowels of underneath. Oh, but it has a dirty secret. This is where they kept the slaves, in the church. But you love Christianity. You think it's about, oh, you know, Jesus said love. Jesus slave chambers in the church. Jesus said love. When the Lord's talking about love, he's talking about love your nation. Look at this. Can you imagine you being locked up down there as a slave? Your ancestors was, or you wouldn't have been here. They made it through that madness. And you think you're supposed to forget that? That's what Christianity does to people. Oh, let's turn a blind eye to it, brother. It's just about Christ and grace. You know, they're not teaching grace. Shut up.
No,
we wasn't teaching grace. We'll be out here executing supreme judgments. Look at that. We got statue. So you can get them off. Now, yeah, take them off of there. Boy, I tell you one thing, John. Let's go to John 12. Verse 25.
St. John, chapter 12 and verse 25. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal.
You know what's funny? I got a book here. I sent you some snapshots of it to show them. This book is called The Gospel Among the Slaves. And Deacon Tawab, we was in a discussion. He was like, "Yeah, send me some of the screenshots of this book." So I had screenshotted it, but it's funny because show him that picture real quick. Any one of them. I just want him to see the headline of it and really understand the gospel among the slaves. So when you see it, yeah, just zoom in on it. Yeah, zoom in on the top. I want you to look at the top heading. I'll probably put some snapshots in for y'all folks to see it. But this book right here is letting you know the Negro without the gospel. Obviously, that wasn't our doctrine. We didn't have this doctrine that they were giving us. But they put missionary works. If you go to the other one, you'll see what they did is Methodist. They go the word Methodist. The Negro without the gospel. Come on now. How much more do we have to show you that this was not for us? This is not for us. What we dealt in is treating each other because our heritage is this book, is the commandments of God. That's our heritage. All right? Read on. I physically, literally have the book. It ain't Google scholarship. It's not Google scholarship with this. I should have snapshotted the front page. This book was that I'm holding in my hand is from the 1800s. This book I'm holding in my hand right now. You would have been killed for reading this.
Yep.
All right. Now we holding it ever so lightly, throwing it around and everything. It's just to show you the mind state of how everything once you got indoctrinated, take the chains off their necks. Let them go. They're autonomous robots now.
Yep.
Squawk, squawk, squawk. Give me a motivational speech, Pastor.
Because keep this in mind, brothers and sisters, the black pastors in slavery, they was being overseen with other white theologians.
That's why we put that picture up
We
there.
tried to
People
show
didn't
y'all
know
that. They was being over, even though they was teaching, they had to teach according to that doctrine of Christianity to indoctrinate our people. So that's why you so-called pastors, generational, your family was pastors, they was handed down from the so-called white man during that time. So we keep telling y'all that. That's why we tell y'all that.
On your picture, white people act like Jesus died and left them in charge, but then he got a super failure with the Black Lives Matter. Just all kind of weird things, but that's a Christianity mind. Get him off of there. Let's read on.
Verse 26, if any man serve me, let him follow me.
Let him follow me. Now here's the key. Come on.
And where I am,
And where I am, come on.
there shall also my servant be.
So what he's doing is just the servant's going to do it. Christ taught Israel the commandments. We're going to teach Israel the commandments. Come on.
If any man serve me, him will my Father honor.
Why? If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. Why? Because Christ's doctrine is not different from the Most High's. If you serve him, the Most High going to honor that. Come on.
Verse 27, now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this cause came I into this hour.
Yeah.
If he didn't say that,
Right. I mean, for this cause, I am here to illuminate the truth. That's what Christ did. Now, imagine if he fell asleep and was like, nah, we don't have to do nothing. Let's all hold hands with the Romans. Let's all hold hands. Everybody hold hands. Oh, you think that other people wasn't in Jerusalem? You think that all the other nations wasn't doing commerce through there? You had a route called the King's Highway. All nations was going through there. It's just you read about Christ coming in a Roman time. All right. John 7. Just like it was when you read in John 3, he said, if everyone that doeth evil hate the light, man. They can't even come into the light because their deeds, because of how their lifestyle is, how they live, they hate it. John 7 and verse 7.
St. John, chapter 7 and verse 7,
Uh-huh.
the world cannot hate you,
The world cannot hate you. Come on.
but me it hateth,
But me it hateth. Come on.
because I testify of it,
Why?
that the works thereof are evil.
So the works is evil. It was started with our people. Our people are some of the most evil folks on the face of the earth, killing each other and everything. But yet have the audacity to stand up there and say Black Lives Matter. But yet we still having killings and murders every day. That show you something. Y'all, a lot of people is detached. All right. John 15, verse 23.
St. John, chapter 15 and verse 23. Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him.
So you have
Wait
to.
a minute. Oh, that's 14. Oh, that's 14.
I mean, I'm happy with it. Read it again.
You want me to read that one again? Okay. The book of St. John, chapter 14, verse 23. Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me,
Keep telling people is the Bible is a spiritual book. We're live. If a man love me, read.
he will keep my words.
He'll keep my words. Come on.
And my Father will love him.
Same thing. And my Father will love him. Come on.
And we will come unto him and make our abode with him.
So you understand to the law and to the testimony, keeping the laws and the faith of Christ. They're both coupled in one, so you can understand the highest knowledge, the knowledge in Christ, which is keeping the commandments. All right, how to keep them.
15:23
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, 15:23.
Yeah, St. John chapter
So here go a
15
precept.
in verse 23.
It's a
I knew
precept.
Knew that was spiritual. He that hateth me.
He that what?
He that hateth
There go
me.
the flip side. That hated me. Come on.
Hated my Father also.
Hated my Father also. So the Most High brung both of those out. You just witnessed that. So read it again.
St. John chapter 15, verse 23. He that hateth me,
Come on.
hated my Father also.
Why? Because Christ ain't saying nothing different. He's saying, just like the Most High said, you better keep my commandments. Christ was showing, keep the commandments, but this is how you keep it. This is what it meant. You wearing fringes, it really means to remind you of the words of this book.
That's right.
You're eating clean foods. It's to remind you that the Most High is the one that's in control and in authority on what we can do and what we can't do, especially when it pertains to your body. You being knowing you can't be a whoremonger. Why? Because the Lord said it. You can't take your temple, your body, which he created to be holy, and join that to a harlot.
Exactly.
I mean, all these things is simple, but when you go against it, you see the judgments that we're having. We have the Black Lives Matter movement because we're going against God. You have Christianity because it's against God. You have the world today, the ideology, because they're against God. 1 John chapter 2, verse 11.
First John, let me see. Chapter 2 and verse 11.
Yo, I gotta show this beforehand though. Go to that Candy. I gotta show Candy again. I gotta show Candy again for y'all. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all. So this woman was complaining about, how she what she was victimized. So go to 3 minute. Go to Go to 3 minutes. Let me see. Go to the 3 minute mark. I don't know if I can stand it. Go a little bit before that. Go to 1 minute and 46 seconds. Oh my gosh. I gotta show y'all this. Now, we found out last night the reason why she got that spirit on her because she's married to an Edomite man. And, that's a lot of pride there. She's standing with Donald Trump. Thumbs up. Who is she? She's being used as a political pawn right now, okay? They're going to try to fall her into the Republican Party and, let her go run for something or whatever the case may be. And Simple Jakes are going to vote for her and everything else. But, Laura say the same. She's in a system that's crashing right now. Come on.
Call Generation G, or the grievance generation.
Pause. Now they
product-
starting this mess talking about the grievance generation. They done marked another byword upon our people. Generation G. What does that mean? Grievance generation? Well, obviously, we just showed y'all being called bed wenches. We showed men being shackled in chains. You don't think that has a long-term effect? When you go to the doctor, they ask you, does your mother have high blood pressure? Is anybody in your family have this? What part does people don't understand? You can't say, oh, well, that's the grievance generation. What? Our people's minds is simple like this because of the doctrine that they believe in, which is Christianity, which is a political doctrine held by America, which is also Babylon the Great. Go ahead.
Product of decades of leftist control of our schools, our entertainment industry, and they're breeding a culture of resentment and envy. Basically, a society of victims, and the victims, no matter what, are always right. Here now to discuss, Candace Owens, founder of the Blexit Movement, and former DNC comms director, Luis Miranda. Great to have you both here tonight. Candace, Thomas isn't completely to blame here. There's a Democrat and media complex that all too often rewards this
politics.
It is a kind of a grievance culture. I mean, Generation G, we hear about Generation Y and X, but gosh, there's a lot of grievance out there that's kind of unprovable, the underlying allegations.
Right, in many ways, she is a victim of the culture, and I've said this over and over again ad nauseum, which is just that
Pause.
Victimhood.
If y'all close y'all eyes, she's gonna sound white. All day. So could you really trust anything that she's saying at this point? Watch. Just try it. Go ahead.
It has become almost a mental plague upon Black America in particular, because that word racism is being so overused that society is becoming desensitized to it, and we actually can't even recognize it when it actually exists. We think everything is racist. Things that used to be normal conflicts between human beings, getting cut off while you're driving, having a bad correspondence in a grocery store, you should just brush it off, shrug it off. And
That's not, no one is complaining about getting cut off from driving. That's a lie. But they are complaining when a little girl is trying to sell lemonade and a white woman is dialing the police on her. But the same their race is delivering those Girl Scout cookies and everything else, and nobody calling the police on them. So people are going to complain about that. That show you she's detached. But the reason why is, once again, is because she's laying down with a so-called white man, all in bed with him and everything, and her spirit's tore down. Yeah, she's being a bed wench right now. She's actually a bed wench. Go ahead. I mean, and that's not an attack. That's not an attack. We will challenge anyone.
Exactly.
God hates for the nation, for our people to marry outside, because when you read in Deuteronomy 7, he said, don't make marriages with them. Period.
And the reason, because they will turn you from following him. It had nothing to do with the color. See, that's what we have to tell y'all. It ain't just the color. It's a mentality.
Nation.
Because it could be another African. I'm going to show y'all something. That's like another brother marrying an African that can be just as dark as her. And if her ideology is against the scriptures, guess what? The Most High hates that.
We said that before. We was talking to a brother. He was married to an Ethiopian
Yep.
woman. We said, brother, the Lord don't like that.
Yep.
He said, she's black. He said, no, that's a color.
Right.
But her nation, she's African. No, they go by Ethiopian.
Right.
She's standing there looking. We said, well, the only thing to do, you say you believe God, is you can't be with her. He starts getting mad and all kind of stuff. I said, well, listen, what's her doctrine? She's in Christianity, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she believe in Christ. She believe in Christ, brother. Excuse me? Christianity. Link everybody together. Forget about God's words. You can't be with her. I said the Ethiopian people, they hate us just as much as the so-called white man.
Right.
Straight up. They look down upon our people. And they're just as dark. The Lord even compared Israel to the Ethiopians.
Right.
He even compared us. That's why the Lord said they're going to taste of the sword too.
Right.
Because they're evil against his people. But yet you just laying down with her, brother. But, you know, she's black.
And that's
Shut
why
up.
we keep telling y'all, an interracial relationship in a marriage don't necessarily have to be black and white. It could be, we dealing with nationality.
Mm-hmm.
That's what y'all have to understand. It's it's a nation.
Well, they're turning them away from she can't sit at home when all the stuff pop off and she's sitting next to the Edomite and the race discussion comes up. They're both dumbfounded.
Exactly.
They're both have their own common mind that's going to tell them whatever they're telling them. They sitting in there, you know, this is them. I believe that they're pushing it because I don't see racism. Look at you. You just been racist right there. I'm going to say it again. Everybody missed it. Everybody missed it. Everybody missed it. If they sitting at home and go, she goes, I don't get it. They're just propagating racism. They're playing the victim. Everybody's not like that. Look at you. She go to her husband and say, look at you. You just separated them. Exactly. You're finished. Goodbye. She'll never want to sit down with us. She'll never want to sit down with us. You know, you ask her, even like the little Edomite out there, I said, sir, I'll give you one shot. Please, give me the name of one Chinese person that was choked in America. I have to bust him down. Give me one. He said, he thought about it. He said, no one comes to mind. I can't think of it. And when he said that, I took my shades off and I said, your city is doomed. You're finished. You're not going to be able to. If you can't do that, you're not equal out here. Blessed player.
and move on with your day. Now people are crying and making videos and pleading on Facebook to say, look what I experienced today. I mean, it's sad for her, but I think it's also says, as you mentioned earlier, it's something bigger that's happening in culture that needs to be addressed before it goes too far.
Luis, the individual who she accused seems like he really doesn't like Trump. He's a Democrat. He's Cuban. He's not a white man. What are your thoughts on how this all went down?
Well, he's easily the worst person in this story, and he's someone who looks at a pregnant woman in front of him and decides to insult her, and by his own admission calls her a lazy SOB. There's probably a tinge of racism there. I can't believe that he would call her a lazy SOB if he didn't have some of that. But the media certainly overplayed this, but none of that absolves the fact that
So even he
this
said
portion
it's
of our
probably
country
some
has forced
racism,
way too
but
much,
she can't see it.
that there's way too much racial
Get him
tension.
out of here. Get him out of here. So when you look at the Bible and you look at righteousness and unrighteousness, the Most High said if you treat the Israelites good, you will get treated good. So you have people like, the harlot, Rahab. When the city was being destroyed, she got saved, didn't she? She got spared from that. See, people are detached. Salvation is of the Jews. Salvation means you need to be saved from your enemies. Who's their enemy? They ruling everything. So we don't have our own land. We don't have our own language or anything. When you go to even other stories, you go to a story like Ruth. Somebody put up Ruth. You go to that story. That story is not about Ruth.
Yep.
It's about actually loving your neighbor as thyself and raising seed unto your brethren. She came into the land. If you're a stranger, we had a law. Don't vex a stranger. That stranger shall be as one like yourself. Okay? But then the Lord told us, there shall no stranger pass through her again. So the law of the stranger got cut off. That's where people don't read and they go, yeah, but we got these people and everything else. But guess what? No. You're not getting around that anymore. The Lord cut off the stranger because the stranger was doing things contrary, like Esau, doing things contrary with perpetual hatred to his people.
And I look at somebody like her, the worst type of slave is to not know you're a slave. That's her problem. She don't realize she's oppressed. She don't realize she's in a situation that you could get put. See, what she understand is when that white man flip on her, and whenever it happens, guess what? You can't come back here because you done sold your people out. And at the end of the day, that's the worst type of slave to not know you won. That's
If
the
you
worst
have
type
your
of one.
own land, you have some type of pride.
Right.
You have some type of recourse. Like if you look at the Ruth, we mentioned Ruth. Ruth went back into the land of Israel. She begged her mother-in-law to stay with her. She like, your God's going to be my God. So obviously, she goes there now. There's a dynamics. Can we treat anyone harshly because we was once slaves? When you read in Leviticus 19, we was once slaves. So we shouldn't treat anybody harshly. We was on our land. You're a stranger, you was treated fairly and equal. All right? To a certain extent, because we still can feed you roadkill and we still can charge you usury.
Right.
But the point is, we wasn't putting you underneath hard bondage,
Right.
like there was here, or in Egypt, like they're doing in these places. The point is, after you get past that, the Lord was like, I gotta cut off the strangers. No strangers gonna pass through anymore. So if that's the case, how then do we have Christianity, which is this all-inclusive doctrine? No. And then you have people who they use like this to put up there as the token bed wench to be able to sit there and say stuff. And then all the other bed wenches that think like her come out of the woodwork.
Yep.
She's right. Candace, for mayor. She's going to change the course. Well, guess what? All of that is funneling down now. It's falling down. America's falling down.
Yep.
You see all the statues being destroyed. That's not the only thing that's being destroyed. Y'all don't realize it's something happening behind the scenes. Not just with that, with his economy, with his money, everything. All the things is happening and things are shifting. It's a domino effect. All right? We called it the George Floyd effect.
Yep.
It's starting to happen. And it's now 20 days in? Every single day.
There's a protest every day.
So now it's showing you something. What changes happened? What changes happened? Nothing. You can march. Black Lives Matter. People matter. Whatever you want to call it. Nothing has changed because you still have our people getting killed. Somebody just was killed.
Yep.
Somebody just was killed today.
We asked everybody we came in contact with at that movement, we asked them, what's the solution? I asked the older man, what's the solution? We need to do this. We need to get more on politics. I said, really? More politics? You still, I said, sir, you've been voting how long? I said, how long have we been able to vote? 1964, right? Okay, well, tell me, wasn't they killing people back then? Wasn't it police brutality back then?
What we have to do as a family of believers, we have to ram our efforts to shine the light hard on the gospel and to separate from the people who are disobedient against Christ. There's no other way. Move out of the way. The Lord's judging. Then you see a death angel on the face of the earth right now. They can blame it on COVID. They can blame it on anything you want, but people are still dying in cars. People are still getting killed. And the only person that can only entity that can say your life is done, send your spirit back, is the Most High. They can do anything on it. People been in terrible car crashes and still lived. I met people who got shot in the head 5 times. Somebody unloaded a 32 snug-nose revolver on a brother. We was downtown. He had locks on his long locks. He said he was standing there with tears in his eyes. He was like, man, what y'all are saying is the truth. I was, building that brother's spirit up on the phone and everything after that. Because what he did, he said, man, but I gotta share something with y'all. He was talking to us just like this. He pulled his junk back. I was like, yo, what happened? He was like, man, I got into an argument with one of our people over a woman, and the next minute I know, we start fighting. I fell on the ground, and I just seen a white flash, and then next minute I know I'm floating in the hospital. Gone. And he pulled it back and he showed me, and I saw it. The 1, 2, 3. He showed all of where it was at. How could he said the dude grabbed his gun and stood over him, and boom, he saw a flash. That was it. He didn't feel nothing after that. He didn't feel the other shots or anything. When he finally came through, the doctors and everybody else was like, you was dead. Mm-hmm. And then the Most High had his spirit come right back, and he was like telling them, he was able to communicate and tell them what happened and what they were wearing in the hospital. And he was out for like, what did he say, 16 weeks or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something crazy. He was out, but the Most High kept his spirit, and he lived. So that goes to show you the only entity in your life that's going to say you're dying is the Most High. When it's your time, it's your time. That's why you never be scared, man. Brothers has been on the street. Day 60 or something like that. For as the band or whatever, brothers been out on the street every day.
This is why we believe in this. When we go to Deuteronomy 32 verse 39, like the elder just said, we live by this because we understand that it's inevitable. We're gonna face that one day. But who's really in control of that? Because some people think they can, they can avoid it.
I got it.
Okay.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 39.
Uh-huh.
See now that even I am he, and there is no God with me.
And that's a lowercase g, because why we call him the Most High? Because there's no other gods above him at all. It's a lowercase g. But go ahead, brother.
I kill.
He does what?
I kill.
The Most High is the one that allowed these things to happen. He kills. Go ahead.
And I make alive.
He also can make alive like that brother. He made that brother alive. That brother could have been dead. You got some people that get shot accidentally one time and die. Okay, go ahead.
I wound.
He wounds. Go ahead.
And I heal.
And he heals. But go ahead, though.
Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
Because when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Okay, let's find out if your God can do this, though.
For I lift up my hand to heaven and say I live forever.
Can your God say that? Our God can say it. He just said it.
Go back to 1 John chapter 2. We just saying, remember last night we said, man, travel knoweth many things. You know, you can, once you start doing the work, you see a lot of different things. And we try to convey the messages to the people, but it's hard to convey it because you've seen so many things and so many nuances. And brothers who've been on this journey, they have seen so many things. They can articulate it, but they can't. It's so many nuances and so many instances that the Most High showed up and showed out and shined the light on certain things that we can't even communicate all of them. It's impossible.
That's right.
All right. But the girl Candace, she hates her people, just like everybody else in Christianity.
Yep.
All right. Just like all of y'all that's in Christianity, you really hate your people. That's what it symbolizes, whether you believe that or not. 1 John 2:11.
1 John chapter 2 and verse 11. But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes.
You're blinded. You're in a false ideology. You're blind. You don't understand. But you have hope because the Lord has the watchman on the earth. The truth is hitting back on the earth so hard that now it's shining a light and people are coming out of Christianity. The last words I told to the guy, I said, well, what now? He said, well, I got to come out of Christianity. It's not for me. Jump to chapter 4, verse 20.
1 John chapter 4 and verse 20. If a man say, I love God.
If a man say he love God, come on.
And hateth his brother.
And hated his brother, come on.
He is a liar.
He's a liar. So you're supposed to prefer your nation. You're supposed to be building your people. But in Christianity, you're not even doing that. You try to say everybody's your brother. That's the lie. That's a lie. You have a responsibility. If that was the case, you're supposed to be following Christ. Did Christ say everybody was his brother? Or did he say, I'm sent, but none too, but the lost sheep of the house of Israel? Come on.
For he that loveth not his brother,
Come on.
whom he hath seen,
You see your brothers. Come on.
how can he love God?
How can you love the Most High? How? Come on.
Whom he have not seen.
Whom you have not seen. So you walking around with crosses talking about I love Jesus, but you don't have enough love to look at your nation and tell them the truth and tell them to come out of the madness and tell them to come back to Christ in the keeping of the commandments. Guess what? You are a liar, and the Bible says it, and you have the devil on you.
That's right.
But for you folks that are really doing this work, talking to the people, telling them to come out of Christianity, telling them to come back to Christ in the keeping of the commandments, you really love your brethren. You love your brothers and sisters. You want to see them get the kingdom. You want to see them elevate and come back into the unity of the brotherhood. All right? But everybody that's not like that, just like we told a guy today, you're doomed. The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29.
The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men.
Yeah, we're going to obey the Most High rather than man. And guess what? No matter if you pushing Black Lives Matter, Christianity, or whatever case may be, it'll never stop what's now snowballing on the face of the earth. All right? You folks continue to send up the prayers. All right? Continue doing the works. We got a lot of things that we have to do to raise our nation up out of that simple state of mind. You got to do your part. All right? For you folks that's coming out of Christianity and coming back to the truth, all praises to the Most High in Christ.
All praises.
All right? You are right there.
Yep.
Okay? With that, we're going to say shalom to y'all. Y'all continue to stand strong, okay?
Stay strong.
Shalom, y'all.
Shalom.